Hello, Monsters Abound here, and welcome to Distant Worlds 2, my favourite 4X Space Empire game. Yes, better than Stellaris. Look, I love Stellaris, it's very polished. I love the stories it can generate, even if they get a little repetitive after a while. Let's face it, we've all read the text from all of the surveys like a million times now, just skip through them and pick the options we know are good. But Stellaris can feel a little bit dead in general, just the galaxy. And the battles are not great. And don't get me started on the war score stuff. I find fighting wars in Stellaris incredibly frustrating. Now, Distant Worlds 2 did release in rough shape, but several DLCs and many updates later, it's certainly in a much better place. While it still has its issues, it's fair to say, it's significantly more playable. The new DLC brings the Atuuk, a race of small furry Ewok-like creatures who have only just reached spaceflight. They're not very bright or strong. Well, they do breed like rabbits, so you have that. Plus, they have their ability to put their entire civilization towards a single objective and supercharge their efforts on, say, diplomacy or research or ship speed. On the other hand, the Wekkarus are a race of Squidwards, an ancient species that live isolated, and slightly xenophobically, on ocean worlds. When under great stress, they can summon ghosts for some reason, who then give them a hand, which is nice. I can't help but feel that if I was under a lot of pressure for some reason, and some ghost version of me suddenly appeared to offer me a back rub, that would probably make things worse. But what do I know? So we're going to try out the Squidwards on a medium-sized galaxy. Nice and chill. The Wekkarus are not aggressive and have a low reproduction rate, which is not great. They obviously love living on ocean worlds and hate living on desert worlds, which also makes sense. They are not diplomats, but have some decent stats across the board, as well as some nice mining rate increases and ship speed bonus. Due to their terrible diplomacy, they have a lowered chance of diplomats appearing, but scientists and spies get a boost. They also get inherent psychic resistance, which will be handy if any evil psychic races from another dimension decide to pop by, but I'm sure that won't happen. Their special features are flashes from the past, which gives scientists a choice between two new research skills. I only had this happen once during my playthrough. Deep labyrinths, where foreign spies can get intercepted and we can either kill them or imprison them. I mean, I always imprison them because then you can recruit them, so. Riches from the deep means more stuff on deep ocean worlds. Always nice. And then the aforementioned ghost people who turn up either ships, ground units or characters to assist us for a little bit and then they fade away. We can also find special artifacts which will increase the chance of ghosts popping up and further increases our psychic resistance. I only found one of these during my playthrough. Our special techs are the fairly iconic Super Pulse Wave Cannon, which is pretty natty. Also, I did find the AI loves to steal this because I noticed pretty much every AI ship in my game seemed to be using it, and I was in the only Wekkarus faction in the game, which means they must have stolen it from me. So I'm sure that's fine. Constrictor Beam, check me harder Squiddy, Hydra Core Capacitor to help with our shields, and Defensive Caverns, which can only be built on ocean worlds but increase our planetary defences. So as you see, the different races in Distant Worlds have access to special technologies. While you can trade for, or as I pointed out, steal those technologies, if you don't have access to them, you won't be able to research other races' technologies for yourself. The Atuuk get things like the Galactic Welcome Center, for example. You can pick various different starting options, but I've gone for what I think is a fairly basic start, where you begin without hyperdrive tech, which means your ships have to slow boat it around until you've finished your first research. This locks you into your home system for a bit, but I kind of like that. Once that first tech is researched, you can start FTLing around your host system, and then eventually you can jump out and explore the rest of the galaxy. What I really love about this game is that the various resources required to sustain your empire are numerous and disparate. You need to transfer them where they are needed, and to do that you have a private sector which exists almost purely to transport goods and people around. These ships are totally automated and go wherever they are needed, are ordered by the private economy from your shipyards, and use technology you research. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about them. This makes the galaxy feel so much more alive as ships warp in and out, delivering resources. If you go and look at your home planet, there's a constant stream of ships arriving. It just makes you feel like you're in an actual living galaxy, rather than Stellaris, where nothing happens. I just love it. I don't know what it is. But it speaks to my soul. Okay, so we're starting out on the rim. We're in the light blue, very fashionable, and quickly spread out to find additional resources. We quickly meet two independent worlds. These are planets which may not be the Empire themselves, but you can join them or conquer them. The Akdradians, who are fish people who like science, and Teekans, who are space skaven, who like to trade, but mostly fuck. Luckily, we also come across some Naxians, these T-Rex dudes, which are really useful because our Wekkarus are some of the worst troops in the game. So ground troops all have different stats depending on which race they're from. I believe tanks are sort of just standard, but ground troops tend to be cheaper, and depending on what race you are, then you can get better or worse ground troops. The Wekkarus are some of the worst. Even worse are the Teekans, who are another of the races in our empire, and the Akdradians are not much better than us. So currently, not looking great. However, the Naxians are giant T-Rex monster lizard guys. Those guys are going to be able to fucking murder people in combat, which is great. The only problem is we've only got one planet of them. They live on ice worlds, and I only found one other ice world during my playthrough where they could live. So I only had 2 planets of them at most. So they were constantly pushing out ground troops for me, but I was always really low on ground troops. Looking at the general galaxy around us, nearby we have some of the Hakonish, I think that's what their name is, it's in green. They are xenophobic trader frogs, I think. And the humans in purple, we should all be fairly familiar with them. The Akuru in the yellow-green, who are eco-hippie gorillas. Now, all of these guys are fairly chill. Slightly further away, we've got some of the Xenox, the cat guys, cat boys. They're like researchy guys. They're going to be pretty chill. But slightly further south of that, we've got some problems. We've got the red Boskarans, who are basically, well, Boskarans are basically Zerg, right? They're angry, violent insect people. Not the best neighbours to have. Meanwhile, the yellow guys, who they're currently having beef with, are the Gazurians, who are equally angry wasp people. So look, you don't want to go. Look, the Galactic South is rough, all right? You don't want to go down there. No, I know for a fact in the Galactic Centre that we've got some Mortallans. Those are like the best warriors in the galaxy. They're like lizard guys. They're great. And then further south than that, we do have an Atuuk Empire. Now, these guys are obviously cute and cuddly and furry, and so being in the Galactic South, they're in trouble. However, I will say they do tend to they last for a while, and I think it's mostly because they ended up kind of not surrounded by anyone until they ran into the Boscarans. So that'll be fine for the moment. I've been busy colonising worlds, so we've got several colonies on the go now, which is very nice. As I said, we've only got 2 for the little T-Rex dudes because I could only find 2 worlds. Unlike Stellaris, you can't colonise, say, an ice planet into a desert planet. That's not how that works. An ice planet is always going to be an ice planet. It just really depends how nice of an ice planet that is. Like, if it's a really, really nice ice planet, then, well, even, say, a species that likes living on a desert planet might be able to move there. I mean, it won't be as good, but it'll certainly be okay. Meanwhile, most planets are never going to reach that really, really good stage. You can do terraforming, but it's fairly limited. It increases the quality of the planet by a couple of %, not much. So unless you find some really good planets, you ain't going to be able to change them into ones that will be good. We currently have 6 fleets of ships to guard our space, and they're just running around on automatic doing their own thing. Now, I can manually order them to do things if need be. I can request that someone deal with something. So for example, if there's an evil space monster over here, I can say, can someone please deal with that shit for me? And eventually one of my fleets will go and do that off their own back. Alternatively, if I give them a space station to work out from, then I can order them to deal with things in a radius around that. So there's various different ways of interacting with your ships. I will say that while the automation is pretty good, there are certainly still cases where it does my nut in. I've had more instances of an invasion fleet going to scoop up literally every ground troop on a planet 3 minutes before an enemy invasion fleet arrives, leaving the planet defenseless. So, you know what, sometimes maybe the thinking could be a little bit more joined up, but hey, it's not the end of the world. Well, I mean, figuratively speaking. So our biggest concern is those Boscarans, because they're literally eating everyone. Meanwhile, we've also received reports that the Hive are in the vicinity. The Hive are like these semi-organic ship monsters. The pirates, factions of small raiding fleets who make you pay them money for protection early in the game, do not like these guys, and so therefore if you beat them up, the pirates like you more. The Gazurians and Boscarans are currently battling it out. I was hoping they would cancel each other, but it looks like the Boscarans are absolutely bodying the Angry Wasp people. Even the Gazurian homeworld is currently under assault. Only bombardment, I can't see any troops on the way, but I can't see any Gazurian fleets on the way to relieve the world either, so I guess if you like your house being flattened by a firestorm torpedo, you're in luck. Yeah, I think these Boskarans are going to be a problem. I need to do something about that eventually. We'll get around to it, it's fine. But the problem is their ground troops are going to be literally insane. So I need to build up my horde of angry T-Rex guys. And we've just received a report that the Hive are on the way to my homeworld. Luckily, I have a fairly large welcome committee waiting for them. Okay, one of those ships would have been bad. Two is... it's fine, don't worry about it. We've got those wave pulse themajigs. We got the first and second fleet around the planet. And there we go, no problem, defeated them. And by defeating them, the pirate factions will join you. It's not much, but some out-of-the-way star bases and loads of ships can come in handy. Obviously the Hive would have been the season finale of our little space opera, and now we have a new season threat as some weird tentacle monsters erupt out of even weirder gravitational rifts. Well, that's fun. I'm sure that's not an ominous harbinger of a larger threat poised to crash down the galaxy. No, sure, it's fine. Tentacle monsters erupting from gravitational rifts is just something that happens. It just happens. Those tentacle monsters do seem pretty strong, but our brave Squidwards can take them. And once we've killed some of them, we can take the crystals from their creepy tentacle corpses and research some new technology. Actually, you know, I don't know why I'm being so mean about tentacles, when, as Squidwards, we also have tentacles. If anything, I should be saying how handsome these giant space monsters are with their lovely big tentacles. First, tentacle monsters, and now those rifts are growing, and we've learned how to research psychic energy. This feels very XCOM, and I love that. So this is part of the Shakturi invasion, an endgame event which is the basis for the storyline of the game, because the races you play are, for the most part, just remains of previous empires who were fighting in a war against the Shakturi, who had aligned themselves with all of the insectoid races of the galaxy. Arrayed against them were the Freedom Alliance, led by the humans, Xenox, and Acdradians, and they were trying to stop the Shakturi. Meanwhile, other races were still around, but they were battling the Shakturi or just trying to keep to themselves. Spoilers, but eventually the Freedom Alliance and seemingly independently the Hakonish launch an all-out assault, and something goes terribly wrong. A huge devastating wave of energy is sent out which destroys ships, planets, and everything in between, leaving only the remnants from the start of the game. The pirates, for example, are just leftover fleets that happen to survive. The colonies are just the colonies that were left over after the wave sort of crushed everything, and they've forgotten everything since. I've not played through the Shakturi invasion event yet, so I'm interested to see what happens. This has opened up entirely new lines of research for us. Now, while obviously this is all very concerning, our biggest threat remains the Boscarans, who have almost finished off the Gazurians and are now looking around for their next targets. Seeing that the Boscarans are getting out of control, / have already got wildly out of control, I decided the best course of action is just cozy up to my neighbours, throwing diplomatic proposals at them, trying to get them on side just in case the Boskarans try anything. We also meet some Atuuk hidden down the galactic south. Poor little furry buggers are squashed behind the Boscarans, who, look, I'm absolutely going to do something about them, alright? I am so poised. Yes, they may be currently launching a murderous genocidal rampage across known space, but I wore purple in solidarity with the billions of dead at last Senate hearing, so, you know, powerful stuff. They'll think twice for invading another planet. 4, 5. Okay, here we go. Now ships are emerging from these rifts. They're destroying anything that comes nearby. They look creepy and familiar and mysteriously seem to be heading for specific locations on the galactic rim. Well, I'm sure that's absolutely nothing to worry about, although we did just work out that the tentacle monsters are being driven to attack us by the Rift refugees, and they're some sort of biomechanical creature created by the Rift refugees to act as a disruptive first early strike as well as scouts. I know what you're thinking. So with all this Shakturi stuff going on, and seeing that they allied themselves with the insects previously, you've obviously dealt with the Boscarans, right? I mean, yes, in a manner of speaking. In another manner of speaking, not really. Look, I've got bigger problems currently. Talking of problems somehow, the Shakturi have returned. Wherever they're going, they've arrived. Hopefully it's far, far away from us. Or right next door to our homeworld. Okay, so obviously that's not ideal. Look, they're sorting themselves out. They're building something on that outpost, and whatever it is, I absolutely know for certain I do not want them finishing it. So we're going to throw everything we've got at that outpost. Look, if I'm going to stop this, I'm going to hit them with everything. Is this flattening an ant with a sledgehammer? Maybe, but that ant is up to something. Not to mention, being an ancient evil threat, they're probably a lot stronger than they look. We jump everyone over the planet. This is every fleet I've got, every ground unit I've got. We land ground forces, the battle is tough, but we end up securing the outpost. We have it. We have the thing that they're building. We stop the invasion. Look, I think the word hero is thrown around a little bit too easily when it comes to me, but in this case, I don't think it's unwarranted. A few Shakturi survivors continue to loiter around. Their ships are certainly tough, but with enough firepower, we can bring them down. Not to mention these things are just troop transports, not even fully fledged warships. Okay, so they do have a little backup. Only one other, though. But it's right in the now pink Boscaran territories. I changed the colour so I could actually see the difference between the Boscarans and the Shakturi. We need to take that out, but I don't know how. I can't reach them at the moment. Well, first things first, they've settled a planet nearby, far away from the rest of their forces. You know what I call that? Free real estate. Now, this colony will take a while to build up, but having some psychic murder bugs on our side might even the odds. One of the things I don't like about this game is that the relationship between species seems to be a little bit free and easy. Like, you can just conquer anyone you like, and once they've sort of assimilated, they seem to be fine, even if they're murder bugs. So, I don't know, it's a little bit abstract, but it's fine. Our next strat is we love bomb our neighbours. We need some backup to take on the Shakturi invasion and probably the Boscarans. If those two decide to join up, we are screwed. Talking of screwed, turns out they've only gone and made a ruddy great portal, and now Shakturi warships are pouring through. Yeah, that seems bad. Oh, and now we've got some weird stuff happening on our homeworld. Turns out it's some sort of semi-sentient fax machine that wants to help us against the Shakturi, who are apparently their mortal enemies. They have told us of 3 MacGuffins, which will aid us in our crusade. Well, that was the good news. The really, really, really bad news is the Shakturi and Boscarans are breaking out the Ferrero Rocher. Our spy manages to slip in and do some serious lobbying, which probably involved a shit ton of coke, insect strippers and stuffing money into places it shouldn't go. Eventually they managed to sway the Boscarans away from the Shakturi for the cool price of $1 million. The things I do to save the galaxy. Well, deep in the hole, I do manage to find the first vault. Spoilers, these were worthless as far as I could tell. I was hoping for some really good stuff, like, I don't know, a big can of Raid, or a fully operational battle station, but it was mostly just, I don't know, basic tech. It's the last time I trust a sentient toaster. They did warn me that the beacons, one of which I already own, are the key to dealing with a Shakturi. Wow! It's like these guys are the direct descendants of ChatGPT, completely useless and telling me stuff I already know. Fantastic stuff. On the plus side, the Boscarans have decided to take the fight to the Shakturi. Maybe they'll kill each other. Either way, that'll definitely keep themselves occupied. The Boscarans are certainly throwing everything they've got at the Shakturi, which is great for me. Meanwhile, we still need to take out that beacon. While the Boskarans and Shakturi are slapping each other silly, we could potentially use that as a diversion to secure a forward operating base. Taking these worlds will be tricky, and ideally we do it before the Boscarans have a chance to counterattack. We launch a full-scale assault against the Boscaran worlds to the south of our empire, keeping a couple of fleets in reserve just in case they counterattack through Hakonish territory. We throw the 3rd, 6th and 8th fleets against our key target while the other fleets engage other worlds in diversionary attacks. Once the surrounding space is pacified, we bring in the invasion fleets packed full of T-Rex people. Despite my hope that this would be fairly easy, it's anything but. The landing is brutal and we throw division after division into the meat grinder. The Mortalan, Dahayut and Boscaran garrisons are very punishing. Eventually the planet succumbs, but it's far more costly than I'd hoped, leaving few troops alive. We have to resort to grabbing anyone spare off any planet across our empire to throw into the meat grinder. Hey you, small fish person, how would you like to battle giant spiders on a desert world? Well, tough, you're going anyway. Not to mention that while our tech is good, the Boscarans are not far behind based on just having most of the galaxy under their control. Eventually we managed to secure ourselves a forward operating point where we can launch a potential attack. The reason this worked was because the Boskarans were busy dealing with the Shakturi. While I thought the Shakturi would absolutely destroy the Boskarans, the going does seem to be tougher for them than I thought it would be. I suspect it's the sheer weight of numbers. While the Shakturi are destroying multiple Boskaran ships for each loss, it's a loss the Boskarans just don't really care about. With their objectives completed and, let's face it, any future ground assault significantly reduced due to the large pile of dead bodies that make up my current ground troops, we decide to peace out with the Boscarans. My plan being that we can use the worlds we've captured with their beefy alien boys to churn out more ground forces for any future expansion plans. We decide to reform the Freedom Alliance, get the band back together and so on. Look, I know we were at war with the Boscarans, but how about we try and make it up to them? Meanwhile, we enter tense diplomatic communications with the humans. They're not very strong, but hey, it's something. After some daring do, we secure that alliance, which is nice, I guess. I mean, they've got like 2 planets, so can I just mention how much I love the details in the shipbuilding Distant Worlds 2. There's so much stuff you can do here. It's just a lot of fun. I really like the shipbuilding, but it's just something about it that just fun, just a lot of fun. The Boskarans continue to keep the Shakturi contained, and while they're doing that, we prepare the killing blow. I'm not sure how much stuff there will be waiting for me, so we send everyone. It turns out there's literally no one there. I don't know where. I guess maybe they were busy with the Boscarans. I genuinely don't know. There's no one defending this beacon. We send our ships in to bombard that beacon into the dust. However, after several minutes of continuous bombardment, I realise that this beacon is effectively bombardment immune, and by effectively I mean completely. So this continuous bombardment is achieving nothing. Absolutely zilch. Therapeutic it may be, but with absolutely no point. So if we can't bombard it into dust, then the next best, and I say next best, I mean only option, is we're going to have to take it with the ground assaults. Looking at the planet, we can see it has 39k of defensive planetary strength, which means we're going to need more than 40 to be able to take the planet. Oh, okay. I don't think I've got 40 in my entire empire. So we're going to have to go and grab everyone. I mean, literally everyone. What's that? Got bone spurs? I don't give a shit. Get in the ship. We're going to dump you on the planet, find a rock, throw it in the general direction of the enemy before you're immediately mown down with a hail of laser bolts. That's basically where we are at the moment. So, securing this, I think I end up with about 45k of attack ground troop strength. Takes 5 years of recruitment and preparation. It takes me that long just to get enough people to throw at this goddamn planet. Now we are ready. We return to number 1, this time ready to land. And we do. And it's actually really easy. I thought it would be more, you know? It turns out it was actually pretty easy. Didn't take very long at all. It's weird, isn't it? Almost like I missed something. Don't worry about that, that's not foreshadowing. So the beacon is now under our control, and we can learn how to destroy it. It will apparently melt our scientists' brains, but that's a risk I'm willing for their brains to make. Hey wait, why are the Boscarans so shitty with me? Invaded their colony? What? Oh shit, I see. Right, you know, yeah. No, so, okay, so it looks like in between me having to fly off to grab literally everyone in my empire to dump onto a planet and me actually doing that, I think the Boskarans did the job for me. I just didn't notice, or I wasn't paying attention, or I was so focused on my objective I just didn't bother checking, which means when I invaded, what I invaded was the Boscaran assimilation. The Boscaran assimilation core world, which means they're now a bit grumpy. But we're not at war, because I didn't declare war, but that has put my reputation in the dumpster. Look, accidents happen. But the important thing is that we've defeated the Shakturi and sent their insect butts back from whence they came. Did I win? Well, I mean, I guess technically the Boskarans did. But I got the beacons, so you know what? In my book, I'm the real winner. Thanks for watching.